My first Pompeii video took you on a tour of the House of Sallust, a grand urban domus, or home, that displayed a level of living many aspired to, but few reached. There, the patrician could walk his gardens, host lavish dinners in his triclinium, provide guests with beautiful private bedrooms, and impress business associates at his tablinum. An open roof bathed the living space in light. Cisterns enabled private kitchens and flushable toilets. Shops rented out provided extra income. Such a house held all the elements of the good life, the civilized life. And while few could reach this grandeur, many tried to recreate what they could of it. Look at the homes just to the north of the House of Sallust, along the Vicolo di Narciso. All of these are much smaller, but all reproduced most of these elements as best they could. Even one of the smallest, number 10, has managed to incorporate nearly every facet of civilized life in its own way. An entryway off the street leads in, past a rented-out storefront, to a richly painted open central atrium. Behind is a tiny pocket garden. Though very small, this space still lets in light and air, brings greenery into the home, and provides a place to catch and store rainwater for the household's use. To the right of the atrium is the triclinium. To the left, a formal space usable as a tablinum and office. Around the atrium are private bedchambers, and next to the garden is a spacious kitchen and latrine. All the comforts of home, packed tight and tidy for a family of lesser means, but still high aspirations. Just south of the House of Sallust, others had high aspirations of their own. This large domus, Casa del Forno, had once been the home of another wealthy patrician family. Again, it had all the hallmarks: a street frontage flanked by shops, an atrium open to the sky, this one buttressed with enormous pillars. This home had 2 floors, with formal rooms and bedchambers on the ground floor, and servant quarters upstairs. Behind the atrium, as usual, sat the tablinum. But behind the tablinum, where a formal garden had once stood, there was now urban industry. Sometime before AD 79, this old domus had taken a very new role. This was now a large commercial bakery, with 4 industrial grindstones, an enormous oven, a large sales room, a separate room for mixing and kneading the dough, and even a private stable for the horses that transported deliveries around town. Here the old aristocracy had moved out, and commerce had moved in. Casa del Forno, or the House of the Baker, was now owned by the new rich, working to build dynasties of their own, and live their own version of the good life. Many old homes in Pompeii saw similar change in the city's last few decades. Those without the money yet to buy an urban mansion had to suit themselves with more modest dwellings. All throughout Pompeii stand the ghostly remains of staircases coming straight off the street. They once led to private apartments, sprawled out over the shops and grand homes below. In their own way, they could have been quite charming, spacious, airy, with pleasant balconies overlooking the bustling city. Unlike Rome or Ostia, in Pompeii the buildings never grew above 2 or at most 3 stories high. There were no huge cramped tenements, so life on the upper floors of Pompeian homes could be quite posh. Though not always. Many lived in tight quarters above their workshops, or in rented rooms carved out behind. And as I showed in my last video, many of the town's taverns had apartments over them. The space above a tavern could be cramped, smelly, and possibly filled with people who had no place better or more welcoming to stay. And of course, the city's countless slaves often had less still. Surrounded by someone else's luxury, they had to make do with small, simple cells, or even sleep on the floor outside their master or mistress's chamber, always on call, never with a place of their own. In ancient Rome, as today, home meant different things to different people. Pompeii's remains give us the chance to glimpse so many of these different takes on home.